హాయ్ హలో ఫ్రెండ్స్ అందరికీ నమస్కారం. చక్రతిక్ వ్లాగ్స్ ఛానల్కి స్వాగతం. మరి ఆలస్యం చేయకుండా ఈరోజు వీడియోలోకి వెళ్ళిపోదాం.
In 1947, independent India's new government issued its first book ban. The target was the chief architect of the Indian Constitution himself. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar published What Congress and Gandhi Have Done to the Untouchables in 1945. The state prohibited the text because it documented how the ruling party had abandoned its promises of social reform to the Dalit community. This was the beginning of a highly curated national memory. The history taught in Indian schools for decades has been a polished narrative, designed by the ruling elite to preserve their own legacy. To maintain this version of the past, the state had to hide specific military failures and political critiques. It raises a question: which facts were deemed too dangerous for the public, and which national leaders were erased to make the story work? Early administrations used censorship as a primary tool to manufacture a convenient national history, ensuring the public only saw the version of India the government wanted them to see. Inside his prohibited book, Ambedkar issued a specific warning. He argued the ruling party never intended to grant true rights or social mobility to Dalits, instead treating the community as a captive vote bank. That instinct to suppress criticism quickly extended to the military. Following the 1962 Sino-Indian War, Brigadier J.P. Dalvi wrote Himalayan Blunder, a first-hand account of the conflict. The government banned the manuscript immediately upon its release. Dalvi's book detailed how the military defeat was a result of policy failures by Prime Minister Nehru. It revealed that Nehru had ignored a detailed 1950 warning from Sardar Patel, which specifically predicted the Chinese threat 12 years before the invasion. This political choice left Indian soldiers stationed on the freezing borders without basic equipment or strategic support. The troops faced an invasion they were never prepared to fight. The state applied this same pressure to internal rivals who commanded massive public support, most notably Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose. Even when Bose won the Congress presidency democratically in 1939, the party high command conspired to undermine his leadership. They subjected him to constant political hostility until he was forced to exit the party he had just been elected to lead. Any leader who threatened the official Nehru-centric storyline was systematically sidelined. Whether the threat was a social critique from Ambedkar or the democratic popularity of Bose, the narrative was protected at all costs. In 1988, Salman Rushdie wrote The Satanic Verses. India became the first country in the world to ban the novel, implementing the prohibition before the book was even released to the public. Rajiv Gandhi's administration issued the ban to appease religious clerics. The government calculated that a cultural concession would secure a crucial minority vote bank for the upcoming elections. This strategy reached a tipping point during the 1985 Shah Bano case, when the Supreme Court granted a 70-year-old divorced woman a small maintenance allowance. The government passed new legislation to void the court's order, sacrificing women's legal rights to satisfy orthodox religious leaders. This chart compares 2 decades of these political concessions against the actual living standards of the community. While the number of cultural bans and symbolic interventions increased, the indicators for education and income remained stagnant. The 2006 Sachar Committee report shows that while politicians focused on cultural symbolism, the community was left with the lowest levels of higher education and economic mobility in the country. The strategy secured support from religious leaders for the ballot box, but the socio-economic reality for the community remained largely unchanged for decades. The most effective form of censorship happens directly inside the classroom. For generations, the NCERT school curriculum has been the primary tool for shaping how Indian children perceive their own history. During the Congress era, textbooks focused extensively on the Mughal Empire and the Nehru dynasty. Meanwhile, the history of major Hindu powers like the Vijayanagara and Chola empires was reduced to a few pages. However, current revisions by the BJP have not resulted in a neutral history. Instead, the government has introduced a new set of edits designed to hide their own ideological vulnerabilities. Recent revisions have scrubbed critical details from the chapters on Mahatma Gandhi's assassination. The textbooks no longer mention Nathuram Godse's historical connections to the RSS. Other significant events have also been minimized or deleted, including comprehensive details on the 1975 emergency and the 2002 Gujarat riots. The Indian education system has become a political battleground. Both major parties use it to sculpt a version of history that protects their interests and hides their failures. The pattern is consistent across both parties. Congress censored the past to hide leadership failures and build a legacy. The BJP now censors the past to obscure ideological controversies. As a citizen, accepting these filtered narratives prevents a true understanding of the country. A holistic history requires looking past the political edits. That means acknowledging the genius of Vedic science and the courage of Hindu warriors, while also being honest about the beauty of the Taj Mahal and the cruelty of the jizya tax. It requires honoring the equal sacrifices of Gandhi, Bose, Bhagat Singh, and Ambedkar. Real history is never found in a government-sanctioned textbook. It is only found when you search for it yourself. You must look for the historical records they tried to hide. Share this truth and subscribe for more.